Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I am back with this week's No Filter Q&A. This is the episode where I answer all questions related to diet, training, and supplementation that I received from our in-house clients, online clients, as well as a few of our online clients that I've received over the past 7 days. Remember, if you have any questions related to your diet, your workouts, or supplements you're taking, not taking, considering taking, please feel free to email me your questions at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can also send them to me on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. I will put up every question that I receive on the Q&As on a weekly basis. I am putting these questions up in chronological order, so if you've sent me your question, I promise I will answer it on the live Q&A. And also, as a reminder, we do have an online training platform that it's a separate Q&A, and you can join that as well. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can always email me, or you can email our office administrator, Mia Watson. And that online app, what you receive are all my training programs, all my nutritional plans, and all my supplement protocols that I've designed over the last 15 plus years, all in one app. So you can just log into the app and you can find any diet plan, any training program. So you want to go and you go to the gym and you want to train legs one day, you can just log right in, and there's about 16, I think there's probably about 20, maybe about 24 leg workouts out there right now. So any pick a leg workout, follow it. There's back workouts, chest workouts, arm workouts, glute workouts, and nutritional plans from anything from keto diets to macronutrient rotation diets. So all that stuff can be found on the online app. And we also provide a separate Q&A every Tuesday afternoon, and answers all app members to that Q&A as well. Anyway, so let's get started with this week's Q&A with our first question. And question number one, hi Nick, what are your thoughts on pre-workout powders? Are they safe to take? Yeah, there's a stigma with pre-workout powders that they're dangerous. And I don't think pre-workout powders are dangerous unless you yourself have a heart condition. Okay, you have to be careful with pre-workout powders because a lot of times they're loaded with stimulants, and one of those stimulants is caffeine. I've seen some pre-workout powders loaded with up to 300 milligrams of caffeine per scoop, and those scoops are small. And now what I see with the younger generation is what they're doing is they're double or triple scooping. So you're taking 300 milligrams and you're multiplying that by 2 or 3. Jesus, you're looking at 600 to 900 milligrams of caffeine. That's insane. So number one, if you're going to do a pre-workout powder, you want to make sure that you do not have any heart conditions, no heart murmurs, no heart palpitations. That's important. Okay. Now let's say you have no heart conditions and you want to take a pre-workout powder. The next step is saying, well, how do stimulants affect you? I have a lot of people, they tell me when they take stimulants, they feel really jittery. They don't feel good. So I say, well, you should probably be taking a stimulant-free powder. Okay, now I know a lot of people will say, well, that defeats the purpose of taking a pre-workout powder. And I would say, well, for some people it does it because, again, some pre-workout powders contain ingredients that will allow you to get a good, what they call the pump in the gym, right? And it'll help you load glycogen faster into the muscle bellies. So the argument can be said that some stimulant-free pre-workout powders work quite well. As for myself personally, I don't take a pre-workout powder. I used to take them when I used to compete. But now that I'm older, I find that they don't work really well for me. They make me feel really just uneasy and jittery as I work out. And then after the workout, the one thing I've noticed with a lot of pre-workout powders is they make you crash. So you get that good high when you're training, you're training really high, intense, but then as soon as the workout's done, you're just like, your energy levels drop for the rest of the day. So I didn't like that feeling. So I stopped using pre-workout powders probably back in about 2017, 2018. And I switched over to just using just a basic cup of coffee before I trained. 50 milligrams of caffeine, that's more than enough for me. I found my workouts worked out really well, and I didn't have a crash afterwards. So I'm not against pre-workout powders unless, again, like I mentioned, if you have a heart condition. But I don't think they're necessary. And I definitely don't think that people should be doing double or triple scoops. And I see this all the time. I see it on my Instagram news feeds. I see it on TikTok. These people doing 2 or 3 scoops of these pre-workout powders. And again, like I said, that's insane. You should not be doing that. Even if you don't have a heart condition, you should not be doing that. You should never be consuming more than 300 milligrams of caffeine in one scoop. 300 milligrams of caffeine is insane, in my opinion. So that's where I think you have to be very careful with the pre-workout powders. So are they dangerous? They can be. If you use them responsibly, probably not. But again, you don't want to rely on them. So if you are going to take pre-workout powders, my recommendation is to cycle on and off of them. So if you're going to take them, take them for say 3 or 4 weeks and then try a week or so without. You don't want to become reliant on any stimulants or any powders or any supplements for that matter. Okay, you should always rotate your supplements, rotate all your protein powders, all your pre-workout powders. I always tell that to clients all the time. Even your food, I tell clients all the time, rotate your macronutrients, rotate the type of carbohydrates you're using, the fats you're using, the protein you're using, constantly switch things up. Every 3 or 4 weeks, just make minor changes here and there. Okay. So are pre-workout powders dangerous? They can be. Use them responsibly? No. But again, I would just make sure no heart conditions, heart palpitations, heart murmurs. If you have those, I would not recommend taking pre-workout powders. All right, next question. Hi, Nick. Should I be consuming alkaline water instead of regular tap water? My coworker told me alkaline water can help fight off certain cancers. Okay, so let me just clear this up. Alkaline water cannot help fight off certain cancers. There's no conclusive studies that show this, none, okay? There are people that will say, well, it will put your body in an alkaline state, which can help actually stop certain cancers from entering the body. I disagree with that because, again, these are not conclusive studies, okay? So I always look for conclusive studies that show the evidence that alkaline water, or in this case, alkaline water can help with that. But with that said, alkaline water does have its benefits. One, the pH levels are slightly higher than tap water. One being the alkaline water is at a pH level of 8, tap water is at a pH level of 7. Okay, so that actually does make a big difference because one of the things alkaline water does, it actually helps keep the acidity in your bloodstream levels fairly low. So if you're worried about that, then you might want to switch over to alkaline water. But that would be the only reason if you're worried about your acidic levels in your bloodstream. I don't know. I also would not recommend consuming alkaline water every day. So if you're someone who does like to consume alkaline water, what I would recommend doing is maybe 2 or 3 days on and then switching over to something like tap water or spring water. Now, I'm mentioning spring water. Spring water is actually, in my opinion, probably one of the best type of waters you can consume because you're going to get all your minerals and vitamins through there. So if you're looking for the best type of water, I would recommend just consuming basic spring water. But here in British Columbia, the tap water is really good. Right? I mean, we live right by the glacier, so our water is great. Now, if you're living somewhere like, say, in Mexico, for example, no, you don't want to be consuming tap water. You're probably better off consuming bottled water there. But depending on where you live, for the most part, like, again, this depends where you live. But here in BC, I've been using tap water for years. And I feel great. I've had no problems. I get my blood work done once a year. So far, so good. So do I think alkaline water is better than tap water? Not really, no. Yeah, the pH level is slightly higher, 8 versus 7, but for the most part, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And definitely not going to make any difference on whether or not it keeps cancer levels low or decrease your risks of developing cancer or any types of cancer. There's no studies that prove that. Okay. All right. Next question. Hi, Nick. When doing bent over barbell rows, should I use an underhand grip or an overhand grip when gripping the bar? Both grips work. So if you want to do an underhand grip, also known as a supinated grip, that's going to work more of the lower lats. Now, if you want to do a pronated grip, also known as an overhand grip, that's going to work the upper lats. So they both work. One's not necessarily better than the other. What I usually will do with my own workouts is 1 week, I'll switch between the two. So 1 week, I like to do bent over barbell rows. So I'll do 1 week underhand grip and 1 week overhand grip. What I find with most clients that I work with is that they feel it more when they do a supinated grip, which is an underhand grip. And what I'll usually get them to do then is I'll get them to do a pronated grip when they do a wide grip cable bar row. I'll get them usually just to use like a lat pull down bar for that, just to get that peak contraction. And I'll usually ask them to get to like a static contraction too, which is always nice to do on a cable row because you can always get that hold for a quick 1-2 count and then release. So both grips work well. It really comes down to what you feel more. For myself personally, I feel them both. So that's why I like to switch between 1 week using a supinated grip, 1 week using a pronated grip. But you have to remember, you're not working the same area of the lat. You're going to work the lower lats with the underhand grip, and you're going to work more of the upper lats with the pronated grip. So, or overhand grip. So both work well. If you feel them both, I would do what I'm doing right now, which is like 1 week underhand, 1 week overhand, and go back and forth. But if you're not feeling one, I would eliminate that one and switch it over to a cable. So for example, if you are feeling it more on the underhand grip when you do a bent over barbell row, don't do the overhand grip row. Save that for when you do a wide grip cable row, okay? Or vice versa. If you feel more of the overhand grip row when you're doing a bent over row, then go to a supinated row when you do a cable row, okay? So that makes sure you're still working both the upper lats and the lower lats. All right, next question. Hi, Nick. I read your recent blog and was wondering how you managed to get into real estate at such a young age. Also, with rising interest rates, do you think the market here in BC will soften a bit? Okay, let me address the interest rates first. So the Bank of Canada, as most people know, they raised interest rates by 0.5%, I believe it was last Wednesday, okay? Now, if you look at that from a number perspective, that's actually not that quite high. So for every $100,000 that you have on a mortgage, that works out to be about $27. So it's not like that crazy. So if you were to lock in on a fixed rate mortgage for the next 5 years, that's not that insane. Let's say you have a $500,000 mortgage. I mean, you're looking at slightly over, was that 100 and what, 3,500? Yeah, about $135 a month more on your mortgage. For some people, that can be quite a bit though, especially if they're financially like tapped in on that one mortgage. So that, you know, that extra $150 or $200 can make a big difference. But I think people are getting a little bit too freaked out about these rising interest rates because they really haven't risen that high. They're actually still lower than when I first got into the market and I locked in on a 5-year fixed rate. So they're still lower than that. So I wouldn't freak out too much right now about rising interest rates. I would recommend, I mean, if my recommendation means anything, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a mortgage broker, but if I were still interested in getting into the market right now, I would definitely recommend locking in on a fixed term because things are a little shaky right now with the economy. So interest rates could go higher. I think they will go higher. But right now they're not incredibly ridiculously high. I do see a trend though with the market. I mean, I look at the MLS every day and I do see that a lot of places are starting to drop in price by 50, 75K very quickly. But I just think that's because a lot of people are starting to freak out about rising interest rates. The second part of that question is, how did I get into real estate at such a young age? I bought my first place when I was 18 years old. How I did that was I worked in the restaurant industry from the ages of 15 to 18. Started as a busboy, moved up to a server, worked as a bartender, and I pretty much saved all my tips. I had a very low cost of living back then. I was lucky and I was able to work quite a bit. So I put a lot of time and effort into work, probably more time and effort into work than I did in school. I would usually actually cut class to work. So I was able to bank a lot of money. And I remember on the first place that I bought, I believe I put down about 60 or 80,000 on my first place. And back then here in BC, as most people know, real estate is quite high. So the first place I purchased, I believe was about 220K. And I think I put down 60 or 80K. I can't remember, it was so long ago. Regardless though, I made that purchase. I paid off that mortgage quite quickly. And then I was able to sell that place and buy another place. I made a profit on that place, bought another place, got another mortgage, and then used the home equity from the place, the second place I bought, and bought my third place and so on. So when it comes to how I got into the real estate market, some of it was luck, but a lot of it was hard work. I always wanted to own my place. My number one goal was to have a home and not have a mortgage. That was my number one goal. I never wanted to have a mortgage. So whatever mortgage I had, I wanted to pay it off. Because if a catastrophe were to happen, such as, you know, COVID-19, inflation, war, at least I have my primary residence that I can always just stay at, and I don't have to worry too much about the cost of living. So that was always my number one goal. But yeah, that's how I got into the market. I mean, I worked my ass off from a young age. I was able to put down a pretty good down payment on a place at 18 years old. I believe I had my dad co-sign for me on my first place. And then after that, I didn't need anyone to co-sign for me. And yeah, so it just came down to good timing, hard work, a little bit of luck, but it still can be done. I think a lot of people are saying, well, the market's too high now here in BC. It is. It's very high, but I mean, look at right now. Prices are dropping. So in some cases, this could be a good thing, especially for millennials who are trying to get into the market, right? Interest rates are rising. I've seen prices drop. If you've got some good capital on you right now, you can put a good down payment on a place. I'm even looking right now at real estate again, because I'm like, well, hold on a second. Everyone's shying away from real estate. This could be a good time to buy. I did this back in 2000, I think it was 8 or 9 during the financial crisis. That's when I bought my second place. Everyone told me, don't sell your place right now. The market's low. And I'm like, well, right. But if the market's low, I'm going to sell my place at a lower cost, but I'm going to buy up at a lower cost as well. So my profit margin is going to remain the same. So that's where it comes down to going against the herd mentality of, oh, don't do anything. Put your money in your pockets and just hang tight. I tend to look for those opportunities and take them. So this might be another opportunity. Yeah, interest rates are rising. Inflation's on the rise. So it could be a good time if you're looking to get into the market, especially here in BC. Could be a good time in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Pick something up at a lower price. Who knows, right? But anyway, yeah, that's how I got into the market. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. Is bodybuilding a dangerous sport? I asked due to all the recent deaths we are seeing in the fitness industry. And it feels every time I do a Q&A, there's another person that's died in the fitness industry. And we just had someone last night as well, a professional female bodybuilder, or I believe maybe bikini competitor. I didn't really follow her, but she was quite famous in the industry. So another one passed. Again, I don't know if this was related to steroids, but it's something we're seeing now on almost like a weekly basis, that someone fairly well known in the bodybuilding industry or in the fitness industry has passed away at a young age. We're talking people are passing away in their 30s and 40s. These are not people passing away in their 90s or late 80s. So do I think bodybuilding is a dangerous sport? Yes and no. I think bodybuilding professionally is incredibly dangerous. Yes. And I think anybody who signs up for it knows what they're getting into. And I think anyone who's a professional bodybuilder is aware that they are taking years off their life. Okay. We know this. We knew this already before these deaths were happening. Do I think bodybuilding, though, like natural bodybuilding, the type of bodybuilding that I do or that my clients do, is dangerous? No, because I mean, people in my case, I mean, I'm not using any steroids now. I'm working purely I'm trying to balance out my health, my business, and my clients are doing the same. I mean, they work out because it makes them feel better, it makes them look better, and they're doing it for their overall health. So they're actually helping their health. Now, these are people who are not taking anabolic steroids. If you're taking anabolic steroids, as I mentioned last week on the channel, yeah, there's a risk when you take anabolic steroids. Anabolic steroids are not safe to take. And anyone who tells you differently is lying, or they're uneducated. They're not safe. And especially if you have any predisposed health conditions that you might be unaware of. You could have, as I mentioned earlier, you could have heart condition, you could have high cholesterol levels. If you don't go get your blood work done and you start taking anabolic steroids, oh my God, the anabolic steroids are just going to expose those even more, those issues. So yeah, anabolic steroids are incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of people that take them for years and they're fine. But I think those are the people who are taking them responsibly. They're not abusing the drugs. They're getting their blood work done on a regular basis. But if you were to ask me if I think bodybuilding is dangerous, I think competing in bodybuilding, there's a certain lifespan when you're competing in bodybuilding. And I saw that. I started competing in bodybuilding in my early 20s and I got out of it in my mid 30s. And it's because I could see where it was going. It was no longer something that, I didn't want to do it anymore. I no longer wanted to train and diet super hard for a $5 trophy. I didn't see the point. It wasn't adding any value to my life. It wasn't adding any value to my business. I already proved that I could compete in a show. I could win my class. I did everything I could possibly do at an amateur level. I didn't want to do it anymore for multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons was actually because of my health. You have to start thinking long-term. So that's why I got out of the competitive sport of bodybuilding. And it took some time to transition to just wanting to go to the gym and just train for fun and train for health. That took a while because when I used to go to the gym, the only reason I wanted to go to the gym was to train for my next show. That was it. The pure focus was just to win my next show. And it wasn't fun. It became a job at that point. So the transition from training just to be overall healthy and fit, that took some time. It probably took about 3 to 4 years to really get into the mindset of, okay, now I no longer want to win that $5 trophy. I now want to think the long term. I want to be able to be in my 40s and my 50s. And yeah, I don't want to have a big belly, and I don't want to have problems walking upstairs, catching my breath. And I want to look good and feel good about myself. So those were all important factors to me. So to say, do I think bodybuilding is dangerous? To answer that question is, I think if you overdo it, you overdo the drugs, you overdo the eating, the training, sorry. Yes, it can be incredibly dangerous. But if you balance things out, like I have done, and it's taken some time to do, and you're able to balance out your workouts, balance out your eating schedule. I no longer eat, 10 or 12 times a day. I eat maybe 4, sometimes 5 times a day. That's it for me. I take days off from the gym. I train 5, maybe 6 days a week. That's it. I've been able to balance it out. It's no longer all or nothing. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't do that, and they just keep going and going. And then unfortunately they pay for it later on in life, which we're seeing now. So I don't want to discourage anyone from bodybuilding. I think if you're doing it in a healthy manner, and if you're doing it naturally, or if you are using anabolic steroids, as long as you're getting your blood work done regularly, I think it can be done in a healthy manner. If you're doing it and you're ignoring, symptoms or some side effects that you're feeling, yeah, you're playing with fire. So you have to be careful. And at the end of the day, I mean, you only have yourself to blame. If you sign up for bodybuilding and you're taking anabolic steroids for 15, 20 plus years, and you start having kidney failure or liver failure or heart problems at the age of like 45 years old, you really only have yourself to blame. You know what you're signing up for. Okay. So just be careful. But to me, bodybuilding is a great sport. It can teach you a lot of great things in life. It can teach you discipline, focus. So, I mean, I attribute a lot of things that I've learned in business to bodybuilding, right? And I'm still doing it to this day, 100% natural, and I feel great. Yeah, I'm not making the great gains that I made back when I competed, but I'm okay with that. I'm not training purely for aesthetics anymore. I'm training more for health, and that motivates me more than anything. All right, next question. Hi, Nick. I recently had breast augmentation surgery approximately 8 weeks ago. My surgeon has told me that after 6 to 8 weeks, it's okay to resume training chest again. However, a few of my girlfriends have told me this will have negative impacts on my implants. Is it okay to start training chest again, or should I stop training chest altogether now? Yeah, that's a question I receive quite often from women. Okay, so if your surgeon is telling you it's okay to go back to the gym and start training chest again, I would agree with him or her. Okay? And I've said this to a lot of my clients who've had breast augmentation surgeries. The whole idea of no longer training your chest, that's a very old school mindset, especially now with the way the surgeries are done these days. If you get for example, the implants put in under the muscle belly, you should definitely continue to train your chest, because that's going to help keep things lifted, right? So by you not training your chest, after 10, 15 years, those implants, they might start to actually go down a little bit, because you want to keep your muscle belly strong and fit. You're not destroying muscle. You're not tearing muscle apart by putting the implants in. Your pec major and pec minor are still there. So I would agree with your surgeon in this case and say, yes, you should get back and start training chest again. Start off light, but you definitely should go back to training your chest. I would not neglect training that area, because you're going to risk losing that symmetry. So if you're a woman and you've been training your everything, you've been training your chest, your back, your biceps, your triceps, your glutes, your hams, your quads, as soon as you stop training one area, after a few months, you might start to notice that there's some muscular imbalances there. So I would definitely recommend going back and starting training your chest again. But like I said, start off light, listen to your surgeon, start off. For me personally, what I usually have a lot of my female clients do when they come back from breast augmentation surgery, and usually like 6 to 8 weeks, I'll have them do more presses, and I'll have them stay away from any flying movements for probably about another 6 to 8 weeks. And then slowly we'll incorporate some low incline or some flat dumbbell flies. Not right away. Of course, this is case dependent. But to stop training a muscle group because you've had the surgery, that to me is completely ridiculous. And I've said this for years. I think that's ridiculous when I hear women, no longer training their chest because they've had breast augmentation surgery. So to answer that question, I would say, yes, listen to your surgeon, get back into the gym, start training chest again. I don't see, as long as you're starting off light and you're progressing slowly, you're increasing that weight from week to week. Stay away from flies for the first few weeks. Like I said, just do focus on some dumbbell presses, maybe some low incline dumbbell presses with some flat dumbbell presses. Nothing crazy, maybe 4 to 8 sets, 4 sets of each exercise. And then incorporate some flies as the weeks go on. And that should be fine. I don't think you're going to have any problems whatsoever. All right, next question. Okay. Hi, Nick. Have you ever been attracted to one of your clients before? The reason I ask is because my friend is currently dating her trainer, and I'm curious if this is common in your industry. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I answered a question similar to this a few weeks ago on the Q&A. It's actually very common in my industry for trainers to date their clients. I mean, I've worked in this industry for 20 years now, and I've seen this happen multiple times. Have I ever been attracted to a client? Sure. I mean, I train a lot of women. Some over the years I've been attracted to, for sure. But have I ever acted on it? No. You have to remain a professional in any setting. And I think you could ask anyone in any industry if they've ever been attracted to a client, you know, if they run a business, and they'll probably tell you, of course. But if you care more about your business, you're not going to act on it. No, if it's a relationship that you want to pursue, in my case, what I would do is I would refer that person to another trainer. If it was a relationship I was interested in pursuing. But as far as dating a client, no, I've never done that. I did mention a few weeks ago that I dated a woman who I had trained, but she had stopped training with me. She had moved away, and I hadn't seen her for about 3 to 4 years. And I had started dating her after she had moved back to Vancouver at that time. So I was not dating her while I was training her. But when I hear of trainers doing that, I'm not judging, but I will give you my personal opinion. I think it's incredibly unprofessional. And I think you start to develop a reputation as that trainer who dates their clients, which is not a reputation you want, okay, as a male or female. For myself personally, I rarely even hang out with my clients outside of the gym. There are a few clients that I have been training for the past 10 plus years who I have developed friendships with. I've attended a few of my clients' weddings. I've attended some celebrations of life. So I've attended birthday parties. Yes. But those are with clients that I had, like I said, I've been working with for 10 plus years. We've developed a friendship over the years, but we always make sure not to mix that friendship with the business. So when it comes down to whether we have to increase our rates or whether they miss a session, they understand that we are still running a business. So we make sure that we never mix that friendship with the business. That's only a few of my clients. I'd probably say a handful of my clients that I actually see outside of the gym. I think it's important to keep that professional rapport with all of your clients, whatever industry you're in. So have I been attracted to female clients in the past? I would be lying if I said no, but have I ever acted on it? Absolutely not. Never. I never will, never have. But at the same time, I think it should go without saying that that's something that in any industry you should never act on, okay? Whether you are a man or a woman, and if you do want to act on it and you do want to pursue a relationship, refer out, okay? Whether you're a physiotherapist, massage therapist, personal trainer, real estate agent, refer out and then pursue the relationship, okay? That to me will keep you at least as a professional in your industry. All right, next question. Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Hi, Nick. Hi, Nick. In your opinion, are enough people going back to gyms now that COVID restrictions have been lifted? Do you think home workouts and Peloton have eliminated the need for the usage of gyms in the future now that more and more people are working from home? This question came to me last night, and I thought it was a very good question. I really like this question because I've had actually quite a few clients ask me if I'm worried about the gyms having a future in the next 5-10 years. Now, all through these Zoom workouts, and Peloton became the next big thing during COVID. I'm not worried at all. Look, for people who want to get a real hardcore, effective workout, you cannot work out at home. No, it's not going to happen unless you have a home gym equipped. You've got squat racks, you've got barbells, you've got dumbbells that go up to 30 or 60 pounds, whatever you're lifting for weights. You've got resistance bands. You've got kettlebells. You've got benches. All these things that you have in a gym, right? If you have that at your home, if you have a home gym that's equipped with all that, for sure, you can get a great workout. But as I mentioned on the channel a few weeks ago, if you're working out in an apartment like I am, like right here in a condo, you don't have room for all that stuff. So you might have dumbbells that go up to 5, maybe 8 pounds. I'm sorry, whether you're a man or woman, you're not going to do shit with that. You're not. There's some exercises that you're going to need to lift heavier weights with, okay? Your 5 to 8 pound dumbbells aren't going to cut it. You need to squat. You need a barbell. And this is my opinion. You need to have this stuff. If you want to develop a physique, you can't just play around on your home floor workouts and do these Zoom workouts. They were good during COVID, but now that restrictions are lifted, get your ass back to the gym. It's not even comparable. They're not even close, okay? This is laughable. I can't even believe I'm talking about this now, but they're not comparable. A home workout that you're doing at home is not nearly comparable to a workout that you can do in a fully equipped gym. Okay, it's not. Am I worried about Peloton taking over the world? No. I think Peloton's great. I think it's a great business for sure. I have huge admiration for the business concept of Peloton. I think it's great. Do I think that it's going to compete with a gym? No, I don't. I think they're going to probably take over spin classes for sure, but I don't think it's going to compete with resistance training in a gym. Absolutely not. Now, if I noticed a lot of people coming back to the gym, our business, as I said before, it wasn't really impacted that much by COVID because we were actually able to stay open throughout COVID-19. There was a slight period where we had to close our gym doors, but for the most part, we actually remained open. And what I found happen was a lot of clients that were working at commercial gyms were no longer comfortable working at those gyms, and they gravitated towards working with us at a private training facility. So if anything, our business actually benefited from COVID-19. We actually got more clients from COVID-19. So to answer that question, I do not think that home workouts and Peloton are going to eliminate gyms in the future. Gyms are always going to be necessary. They're not comparable. Most people don't want to work out at home. And those that do work out at home, I mean, there might be a few that tell you it's just as good of a workout, but those might be the people that haven't had really hardcore workouts before. Because if you want a real hardcore workout, you know you have to go to a gym. I'm sorry. Nothing compares to getting into a squat rack, putting some weight on the bar and squatting down, ass to grass on the floor and going back up 12 to 15 times. You can't do that with an 8-pound dumbbell in your living room watching something on Netflix. Okay, so no, I'm not worried about Peloton and home workouts taking over the gym industry. All right, next question. Nick, okay, well, it's no filter Q&A, so I'll say it. Okay, so Nick, how the fuck do I make my calves grow? No matter what I do, they won't change. I'm currently doing 4 sets of seated calf raises 4 times a week and keeping the weight heavy and reps at 8 to 12. Okay, so a few things I already see is that you're doing the same exercise 4 times a week. So you're overtraining the muscle group. That's not good. Okay, that's going to create that's actually counterproductive. That's not going to create any results whatsoever. So if you have a muscle group that's lagging, you actually want to train it less than more, once, maybe twice a week. When it comes to the calves, there's 2 muscle groups in your calves. Okay, one is called the gastrocnemius, the other one is called the soleus. What I found that works for most people over the years, including myself, when it comes to calf training, is high repetitions. Okay, low repetitions don't work well because you have what's called fast twitch muscle fibers in your calves. Don't forget, your calves are used to walking, like you're used to walking all day long. That puts a lot of pressure on your calves. So what I find works well are higher repetitions, keeping the weight moderately heavy, but never in this. Again, this is my recommendation. I always try to recommend to my clients keep their calf repetitions when they're training their calves, the repetitions between 15 to 30 reps. So I go really high for calves. Another thing I like to incorporate are those double tap pulses, which I mentioned before. So if you're doing a calf raise, you stand up on your tippy toes and then you go one more time. So you go 1, 2, up, 1, 2, up. And that will do is stimulate both the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Now you're working out on a seated calf machine. I don't use machines when I train my calves. I train calves at my gym. We don't have machines at my gym. So what I usually just do is I take a barbell, I'll put a plate on the ground, like a 45-pound plate, and I'll just do those double taps on the plate. And I'll put a barbell on my back. I'll usually put on maybe 2 45s aside, and I'll do double tap calf raises just using a barbell. Now, if you want to use a machine, you can do a machine as well. But again, my recommendation is to keep those repetitions high, so you're stimulating both the gastrocnemius and the soleus. And by doing that double pulse, that 1, 2 tap, you're going to notice much more contraction in both of those muscle groups. And don't forget too, when you're doing your calves, you want to make sure that you go all the way up and all the way back down for your heel, okay? And your calcaneus, that's very important too. Full range of motion. So I would get rid of this 8 to 12 reps when training your calves. I would bring it up. First of all, I would lighten the weight, 15 to 30 reps. I would add another exercise too. So if you're at a gym and you're using a seated calf machine, I would use either a leg press where you can do calf machines, or if they have a standing calf machine as well, or you can do what I'm doing at my gym, which is just putting a barbell on your back, getting in the squat rack and putting a plate on the ground and doing double calf raises like that. I have tons of videos on my Instagram that demonstrate myself doing that. So you can watch them for calf training, or you can join our online app as well. And I have a whole program actually dedicated to calf training that you can find on there as well. But that's what I'd recommend. High reps. Do not train them as often either. Training your calves 4 times a week is not a good idea. I'd bring that down to once, maybe twice a week. But if you're training them twice a week, separate that. So let's say you train your calves on a Sunday, don't train them again until, like, say, maybe Thursday, right? So you at least give them that 3, maybe possibly 4 days in between of rest period, okay? So yeah, that's, in my opinion, that's how you're going to bring up your calves. Okay. And unfortunately too, some people just genetically, they don't have the greatest calves, but in this case, I think that you're missing out on training them to the full effect by not giving them high repetitions, full range of motion, and put those double pulses in. Try that for a few months and then get back to me and tell me how your calves look. All right. Okay, guys, last question. Oh, it's from a friend of mine, actually. So this is a good question. It's I saw this one come in earlier today. Nick, from one trainer to the other, do you ever take it personally when a client decides to no longer work with you? I try not to take things too personally, but I can't help but question my own coaching abilities when a client doesn't renew their training package with me. You know, when I first started personal training, and I had clients not rebook with me, I did take it personally. I'm like, well, why don't they want to rebook with me? I mean, what's wrong with me? Am I not giving them the service that they want? Or and then over the years, I've stopped taking it personally. You don't know what's going on in someone's life. For all you know, they love having you as a coach or trainer, but maybe financially they can't afford to work with you right now, right? And they're too embarrassed to tell you that, and they say, you know, I need to take a break from training for now. I've never questioned a client's reason for stopping their training sessions with myself or with Charlene or with another one of our trainers. I just said, okay, you know, if you have any questions while you're away or you need any help with your diet or training, please feel free to contact us anytime. I always want to keep the relationship open for if they decide to come back, or even if they don't decide to come back, I want them to know that we're always there to support them on their health and fitness goals. But I always think you should never take anything in business personally. Sometimes you're not a good fit. I mean, hey, I've worked with people, we're just not a good fit. We don't gel well. I don't take it personally that they decide not to work with me again. That's okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to ignore them if I see them on the street, or stop following them on Instagram, or start trash talking them behind their back. Absolutely not. That again, that's completely unprofessional. It doesn't happen often though, luckily for us. Most of my clients have been with me personally for the past 15 plus years. I rarely have clients leave our company. When clients do leave though, it's really something that I've never, honestly, probably since year 2 in business, I stopped taking personally, because you can't. It's just business. And when you start looking at it like that, you're not going to lose any sleep over it. I always say, for every one person that doesn't want to work with me, there's 5 people that do. So I know it's hard for a lot of people if you're offering, especially if you're selling your service, because you're selling what you do. You're not selling a product, you're selling your service. So it's really hard to separate the two. But you have to try your best to recognize that if you are a good coach and you know you have a lot of clients, and this person's case who's asking me the question, I know you're a good coach. So don't question yourself. Don't question your coaching services, because you never know what's going on in someone's life. As I said, it could be financially related. Maybe your training times don't work for them anymore and you guys couldn't come to a mix. That's happened with myself. Over the years, as I've started to take more and more time away from the floor, I've had clients say, your schedule no longer works for me. I'll offer them another trainer. And if they say no, I mean, then the relationship ends, unfortunately. But that happens too sometimes, right? There's a schedule conflict. So it's not necessarily that you as a coach are failing them. Now, if they flat out say to you, I don't like your coaching style, I feel like I'm not getting results because of you, then yeah, you might want to reflect and say, well, how could I have been better? And ask them and say, well, what could I have done better to as a coach to help you along your way to achieving your goals? Now, if it's something absolutely ridiculous that their goals are unrealistic, then you know that's not on you. But if they call you out and say, hey, you know what, you're always 5-10 minutes late for my session, or you're on your phone quite a bit, or you're taking videos, and yeah, then you might want to start questioning yourself as a coach. But if you've done everything right and you've given that person your undivided attention, and you as a coach and trainer, you've done everything you possibly can to help them get to the next level, then that's it. The ball is in their court. If they decide no longer to work with you, don't take it personally. I've had clients that have taken some time off from working with me, and then they come back over the years. That's happened plenty of times. So I think it's always good to keep the lines of communication open and let those people know that even though they're no longer working with you, that you still value them as a client and you still want to help them along the way to achieving their goals. Right. And just tell them anytime you want to talk, you have a question, feel free to email me, ask me a question, your diet training, I want to help you. Okay. I think that's very important. So yeah, as far as taking it personally, I don't take anything personally. I can show you the hateful DMs I got from the anti-vaxxers during COVID, and I never took anything personally. I used to just laugh at them. So yeah, in business, don't take anything personally. That's my recommendation. Have fun with it. Try your best, provide the absolute best service you can, and the clients that are with you, they'll appreciate that, and they'll refer friends and family to you. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week's No Filter Q&A. This should be going up on Thursday evening. Remember, if you do have any questions related to diet, training, or supplementation, please feel free to email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. And if you have any questions with regards to our online training app and you want to receive weekly training programs, nutritional plans, supplement protocols, and a private Q&A only available to app members, please feel free to email Mia Watson at mia@foreverfitperformance.com, and she will send you over all the information it takes to register for that online app. Guys, it only costs $49.99 a month to join, and we upload programs on a weekly basis on that app. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, and you guys have a great night. Have a great weekend. And thanks again, guys. Have a great night.